Well, this was our 5th mother-son turkey hunt, and we decided to try our bows the first morning.
So I started doing some calling, like I was a hen up in the tree, and then I did a fly down call, and then all of a sudden all heck broke loose with the hens behind us, and I really must have disturbed something in the flock of turkeys behind us. And they started pitching out into the field. Not much separated us from the turkeys.
And they just wouldn't come into the decoys at all.
We packed up later in the morning, 8:30, 9 o'clock. We moved the blinds to a different fence line to hopefully kind of get more into their comfort zone and hopefully kind of disrupt their morning pattern the next day.
Went home, took a break, then we went out to another spot and got under some pine trees, and it was windy and cold that afternoon, but under the pine trees it was comfortable.
On our way in, we bumped a bunch of turkeys, and so we kind of were a little discouraged at that, but we sat down, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, our first bird came out into the field, and it happened to be a tom. It was about 80 yards out, 90 yards out, and just slowly fed its way up into the decoys.
Never had shot that gun before, not that that's an excuse at all, but I think I shot over the top of him. Might have hit him because he kind of dropped a little bit, but Tyler was right on it and he took a shot and he dropped that bird. So he snuck out, got the bird back, told us to hang in there. We had another hour of shooting time. 20 minutes later, here comes another tom out.
Yep. But he came with a bunch of hens.
Yep. And he didn't want to come into the decoys.
Yep. So that bird ended up working out in front of us for a while, and ended up working its way behind us, and then we had our second encounter of the evening.
It was a done deal.
Yeah, we were
Started
celebrating and everything.
and went out to find the turkey, and he was gone.
Oh, there he goes. Hey, he's running. He's running. Out here in the field.
Never had that happen before. We found some blood, but we don't think the turkey died.
It might have been a different turkey, but I just saw something fly off.
We watched it fly away for a couple 100 yards and over the top of some trees across the road, across the river. And so we, after like the highest of highs, you kind of hit this low point of, oh no. Well, we had one heck of a night. This bird came in all alone, and then right at the end of the night, a bunch of hens came out with definitely the dominant tom. And he did what we weren't really expecting, is he hit a gap just down the fence line here and walked around behind us. And what ended up happening, as you see in the footage, we thought we killed that turkey because he flopped a couple times. We found some blood. We looked for him all over the place, and we actually watched him fly away. So that bird's gonna live, but he wasn't supposed to come behind us.
No.
I mean, if you wouldn't have shot when you did, he would have been about 10 feet from us. So he was in full strut, and I mean, he would have not, there's no way he was gonna see us in our setup. And I'm glad you shot when you did, but holy smokes.
It was a good hunt.
It was a very good hunt. So we'll get a bird tomorrow, and it's just day one. We're just getting started here.
So once we got set up there, Tyler did a little bit of calling, and down by the blind out of the woods, I saw Tom come out, and he was working his way down towards the blind into the woods. So we just sat there, and he did a little bit of calling some more, and it was about an hour later I saw the Tom about 10 yards behind me through the thick brush, and I motioned to Tyler that there was one behind us.
Got him! Nice job, Mom! Oh my gosh!
He was right behind us.
Nice shooting!
We did it.
Yeah.
You smoked him on that one!
Thank you.
Nice job, Mom! Oh, oh my gosh!
The stick was in the way. I couldn't get around him.
What is that, 15 yards?
Oh, thank you.
So we want to talk about, why this setup worked as well as it did. One thing that we want to do during our videos is kind of explain to you guys how, what helps us kill more birds. So behind me, over my right shoulder, you can see this big pile of brush. So that's normally where I set up a blind in the early part of the season, because the birds tend to roost in this woods that's just over my right. Now, this year there was only a couple of toms feeding in this field, and they've been using it on and off, but they've always consistently been roosting behind us closer to the river. So as there's a river, turkeys love water. So when they're roosting over that, we actually had a blind that we just picked up set probably about 70-80 yards behind us, and these turkeys came on. This is a high spot coming out of this field. This ridge line runs into the woods and down closer to the river, where they end up roosting on the end of it. So they consistently wanted to be on top of this ridge line, which is the highest point in this field. So the other night when we were in here, we thought that they might follow the ridge that follows the river, and they just didn't want to do that. So we moved where they wanted to be. Early in the year like this, when the turkeys are all henned up and flocked up, you have to be where those birds want to be, because they're not going to come out of their way when they're with hens, unless it's during the middle of the day. So mornings and evenings, you got to be where the turkeys want to be, and that's why this setup worked for us. And sitting on the ground, we used that pile of stuff behind us to our advantage, and it gave us a great backdrop so we didn't get bagged by turkeys, especially the ones that snuck up behind us, like the one we shot tonight. So when you're hunting your next turkey, look for a spot like this and check it out. Now, normally we'd go fishing, but the weather was not the greatest all week, and we got some stuff done around the house, and it just an enjoyable couple days hunting with my mom again. And too bad we couldn't do it with archery equipment, but hey, 2 birds on the ground in 2 days. That's not a bad.
Yep.
Not a bad way to start the year. So.
And there's always next year.
Absolutely.
This is Avid Outdoors.